Everyone. The courtroom was packed, tension heavy in the air. Judge Boyd, known for his sharp mind and fearless pursuit of truth, adjusted glasses as the next witness was called. A police officer stepped forward, uniform neatly pressed. But his eyes darted nervously. Boyd had seen it before, someone about to twist the truth. The case was simple on the surface, a young man accused of resisting arrest. But as the trial unfolded, inconsistencies appeared. Judge Boyd leaned forward. Officer Daniels, you're under oath. Tell us exactly what happened that night. The officer cleared his throat, his voice overly confident. The suspect was aggressive. He struck me first, forcing me to use necessary force. Murmurs spread through the courtroom. Boyd scribbled a note. Something didn't sit right. The defense attorney stood. Your Honor, I'd like to present body cam footage. The room went silent. A projector lit up the courtroom wall. The video began to play, showing the exact events of that night. The footage revealed the opposite. The young man had raised his hands, pleading, I'm not resisting. Then Officer Daniels shoved him hard against the car, cuffing him while shouting false accusations. Gasps filled the room. Judge Boyd's eyes narrowed. He looked back at the officer. So, Officer Daniels, care to explain why your sworn testimony doesn't match the evidence before us? His voice cut through the silence like a blade. The officer stammered, the footage doesn't show everything. He threatened me off camera. Boyd leaned forward, and yet, no audio, no corroboration, no report of this so-called threat. His tone was ice cold. The jury shifted uncomfortably, sensing the weight of the lie unraveling. Boyd had a reputation. He had exposed corrupt cops before, and he wasn't afraid to do it again. He knew this was bigger than one case. It was about trust and justice. Officer Daniels, Boyd said firmly, you swore to tell the truth. This court cannot function on lies. You've not only jeopardized this case, but you betrayed the badge you wear. The officer's face flushed red, sweat forming on his brow. The young defendant, sitting at the defense table, whispered to his attorney, relief washing over his face for the first time. It seemed like someone powerful was standing up for him, cutting through the lies that had nearly destroyed his life. Judge Boyd called for a brief recess. The officer hurried to a seat, avoiding the glares of the jury. In the hallway, whispers erupted. Another cop lying under oath. Someone muttered. The words stung, but they echoed the truth Boyd had uncovered many times before. When court resumed, the defense attorney pressed on. Officer Daniels, you claim the defendant assaulted you, yet in the video, he clearly did not. Were you lying? The officer fumbled. I misremembered. Boyd raised a brow. Misremembering and perjury are not the same. The prosecutor shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't going as planned. He had built his case entirely on the officer's testimony. Without it, their argument crumbled. Boyd noticed, and his stern gaze made the prosecutor sink deeper into his chair. The defense called another witness, a bystander who had filmed from her phone. She testified. Voice trembling, he begged them not to hurt him. He didn't fight back. Her shaky video matched the body cam. The truth was undeniable. The jury looked disgusted. One woman whispered, how many times has this happened before without cameras? Judge Boyd overheard. It fueled his determination. Technology had finally given a voice to those silenced by authority. Officer Daniels, Boyd said gravely, your testimony was not just misleading, it was a direct attempt to frame an innocent man. The officer's lawyer tried to intervene, but Boyd silenced him with a sharp bang of the gavel. The defendant's mother sobbed quietly in the gallery for months. She feared her son's life would be destroyed by a false record. Now, the judge's words felt like the first rays of hope after a storm. Boyd ordered the jury to disregard the officer's testimony entirely. He then looked straight at the young man. This court recognizes that justice nearly failed you today, but we will not let lies dictate your future. The room grew still. The prosecutor weakly asked for time to recover his case, but Boyd shook his head. You built this trial on deception. Unless you have credible evidence, this case is collapsing. Silence followed because there was nothing left. For the first time, the officer's mask cracked. He lowered his head, shame radiating. Judge Boyd had done it again and covered the truth, not for glory, but to remind everyone watching that justice can only stand on honesty. The gallery erupted with quiet murmurs, people exchanging looks of disbelief. A few even clapped softly until Boyd raised his hand. This is a court of law. Respect its order. Yet deep inside, he understood that relief truth had prevailed. The defense attorney stood tall, sensing victory. Your Honor, with no credible evidence left, we motion to dismiss all charges. Boyd studied the request, then looked toward the jury, who already seemed convinced. The prosecutor weakly argued, we should allow the jury to decide. Boyd's eyes narrowed. On what grounds? Fabricated testimony. This court does not waste time with lies. His words carried finality. He turned to the jury. You have seen the truth with your own eyes. The defense motion is granted. The defendant is free to go. The young man's knees buckled as his mother ran forward, hugging him through tears. But Judge Boyd wasn't done. He turned back to the officer. Perjury is not a mistake. It's a crime. You will be held accountable. The officer's face drained of color as gasps filled the room. The bailiff stepped forward, standing behind Officer Daniels. The weight of the moment crushed him. His once proud uniform now looked like a costume of shame. He avoided the stares of everyone around him. Judge Boyd's gavel slammed. This hearing is adjourned. But let it be remembered, the courtroom is not a stage for lies. It is a sanctuary for truth. His words echoed across the walls, lingering like a warning. As people filed out, reporters rushed to their phones. Judge Boyd exposes another cop lying under oath. One whispered. The headline was already writing itself, ready to go viral by evening. The young man stood outside the courthouse, breathing fresh air like it was his first time in years. Cameras surrounded him, but he simply said, "I just want my life back. And I thank Judge Boyd for giving me that chance." Meanwhile, Officer Daniels was escorted through a side door. His career was over. His reputation ruined. For Boyd, it wasn't about vengeance, it was about justice, and today, once again, justice had stood tall. Judge Boyd returned to his chambers, exhausted but resolute. Each case like this left a mark on him. Yet he knew the fight for truth was never ending. He poured himself a glass of water, reflecting on how close this young man had come to losing everything. Later that evening, news channels replayed the footage. Commentators praised Boyd's courage while criticizing the system that allowed false testimony to nearly destroy an innocent life. Social media buzzed with hashtags calling for reform. Boyd's phone rang. It was an old colleague. "You're making waves again, Boyd. Keep this up, and you'll have half the police force against you." Boyd chuckled softly. If truth angers them, then so be it. The young man, now free, sat with his mother over dinner. "I thought my life was over," he admitted. She squeezed his hand. "No, son, justice was late, but it arrived. Don't waste this second chance." Meanwhile, Officer Daniels faced his own hearing. Lawyers debated whether his actions were part of a larger pattern. For the first time, his fellow officers didn't rush to defend him. The blue wall of silence had cracks. Reporters hounded Boyd outside his home. "Judge Boyd, do you believe there are more officers lying under oath?" He looked them square in the eyes. Truth doesn't fear questions. Ask yourself, how many times has the system looked away? Inside, Boyd's wife worried. "You're making powerful enemies," he sighed. "Justice isn't about making friends, it's about protecting those who can't protect themselves." She nodded, proud but fearful for him. Across town, community leaders praised the ruling. "For once, the scales tipped in our favor," said one activist. Crowds began gathering outside the courthouse, holding signs that read, "Truth matters, justice for all." Officer Daniels watched the news in shame. His family wouldn't take his calls. His badge sat on the counter, a reminder of the honor he had traded for a lie. His fall was public and irreversible. And yet, for Judge Boyd, this wasn't victory, it was only survival. He knew tomorrow another case would come, another lie would be tested, and once again, he would have to stand tall. Justice never rested, and neither could he. Weeks later, Judge Boyd presided over another case as the witness took the stand. Boyd's sharp eyes studied every twitch, every hesitation. The courtroom felt the weight of his reputation. No one dared try lies so easily now. Word had spread, if you lie in Judge Boyd's courtroom, you will be exposed. Lawyers prepared differently. Witnesses rehearsed less because they knew falsehoods would not survive under his gavel. The young man he had freed sent Boyd a handwritten letter. "You didn't just save me from prison, you gave me back my future. I won't waste it. Thank you." Boyd kept the letter in his drawer, a reminder of why he fought. Meanwhile, activists pushed for stronger penalties for perjury by officers. If regular citizens face years for lying under oath, why should police walk free? They demanded. Boyd silently agreed, though politics tied his hands. Officer Daniels' trial began, drawing national attention. He sat in silence as prosecutors detailed how he fabricated stories to secure arrests. Each lie was a thread, unraveling his career stitch by stitch. Boyd wasn't involved in that trial, but he followed it closely. In his heart, he wished no man ruin. But without accountability, justice was nothing more than an illusion. During one hearing, a defense attorney whispered to Boyd at the bench, "Thanks for what you did in that other case. It gave me hope this system can still work." Boyd gave no response, but his eyes softened. Outside, crowds grew larger each week, chanting for reform. Boyd's name appeared on banners. Praised as a symbol of truth, he never sought fame. But fate had given him a role he couldn't ignore. His wife asked one night, "Do you ever regret this path?" He looked at her gently. "Every day is heavy, but every innocent man I free makes it worth the wait," she smiled, holding his hand. The Daniels verdict finally came, guilty of perjury, stripped of his badge, and facing prison time. Justice had been delivered not just in Boyd's courtroom, but beyond. It was rare, but it gave hope that the tide was turning. The day after Daniels' sentencing, newspapers across the country ran headlines, "Officer convicted of lying, Judge Boyd sparked the fall." For once, truth had won against the silence of power. Boyd, however, remained humble. To him, justice wasn't a spectacle, it was survival for the powerless. He knew another case, another accused, and another false witness awaited his courtroom tomorrow. The freed young man attended college, determined to build a future. In his first essay, he wrote, "One man believed me when the system didn't. That belief saved my life." His professor, moved, shared it with the class. Boyd sat quietly in his chambers when a reporter asked, "Do you think you've changed the system?" He replied, "I didn't change the system. I just reminded it that truth still matters." Other judges began adopting his approach, studying testimony more closely, questioning inconsistencies with courage. A ripple was spreading, slow but unstoppable. Daniels, behind bars, replayed his decisions endlessly. A single lie, told under oath, had destroyed everything. For the first time, he realized the weight of truth he had betrayed. Communities once silenced began to believe again. If Judge Boyd can see us, maybe the system can too, said a father who had lost faith years ago. Hope returned. Fragile yet alive. Boyd's wife watched him read in silence one evening. "You've given people hope," she said softly. He looked up, weary but proud. Hope is all we can offer. Justice follows when we fight for it. That night, Boyd gazed out the window, city lights glowing like stars. He thought of the countless stories hidden behind bars, waiting for someone to listen, to believe, to fight. And though the battles would never end, Judge Boyd knew this. Truth was his weapon. Justice his duty. As long as lies stood in his courtroom, he would expose them, one case, one life, one truth at a time.